Welcome to Grace Over Grit and Growth, the podcast where we celebrate women's journeys and empower each other to thrive in our personal life, career, and businesses. We're two women who are passionate about connecting with and inspiring others in our community. So welcome. I'm Alita Anderson.
And I'm Monique Fisher.
And today we have a guest, Miss Ashenia Harris. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, ladies.
We love guests.
We do. Otherwise, it's just us, and that sometimes gets out of hand. So
we need somebody.
Yeah,
balance.
See, we got her in the middle, right?
We need a balance.
Love balance.
Okay. Definitely do. So today we're going to be talking about blended with grace. This is May is Mother's Day. We think of May, you think of Mother's Day. So all of our topics in May will be different journeys and paths with motherhood. We know there's tons of people that are in blended families. I have a blended family. Sheena has a blended family. So we want to come in and just talk about a little bit about what that journey looks like. I think on TV you see far left, far right. Like it works really well. It's not working at all. You don't really get to see that happy medium, and I don't think you get actually to see the journey either, because it's definitely a process. So that's what we wanted to share a little bit about today. So Sheena, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. Well, I am blended, double blended. So my son and my bonus son, they're the same age. And then my bonus daughter. So my bonus daughter now is 21. Okay. Our sons are 19. And then we have little Ari, which is my husband and I baby together. That's 5. So definitely blended.
You got a
couple different ways. A lot of learning over the years. Yeah. A lot of cutbacks, but that's our family.
So for me, I have 2 boys, 2 girls. So it's going to be 2 oldest are 30 and 23. And then 2 that my husband and I have together are 17 and 18. So boy, girl. So it's dynamic a little bit different. I don't have as young as you.
Okay. you didn't do what I did.
But that's fine, because it'll help, it'll be helpful, because now I can see their relationship and they're able to help out with the teenagers, give them a little bit of advice, which they take in a little bit more, from listening to me or dad. Like, right. What do we know?
A little reinforcement.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And they definitely pick up from their elders, because can't tell Ariel nothing about her sister. It's like, but she told me already.
Right.
Like, okay.
Yes. And that art of imitation is hilarious, because even if it's not what they hear, is what they see. Mm-hmm. They do it a lot.
Absolutely, because that baby thinks she can beat her face. So. Absolutely.
I love it.
That is fun. So tell me a little bit about how your blended family came together.
So my husband and I started dating in our 20s. So he had Cherokee. However, he had a majority of the time. So normally it's supposed to be week on, week off, but we normally had about 26 days out of the month. And then with my son, we just had a good co-parent relationship. So really my son made a decision. It's like, if I drop him off, like, oh yeah, by the way, my dad's picking me up. And I'm like, you picking him up? Like, I guess now I am. Okay, cool. So we never had anything like really set in stone. It just pretty much whichever my son wanted to do, or if one of us had something to do, then that's the one that necessarily, picked him up or got him.
That's awesome.
Definitely was a, bit of a change, and trying to figure out how to merge together when you're trying to schedule things. It's like, oh, wait, but he's not going to be here this weekend. So, yeah. And that's fun, too, because they get to see 2 different dynamics. Absolutely.
I think one of the things that doesn't get highlighted a lot is the opportunity that the children have to see different households, because you'll see, even like with friends, you'll see that their household, they may do something a little bit different. So I think it's like, okay, this weekend we're going to be here, we do things like this, and then this weekend they kind of get to see both. And then they know what's going to fly here, what's going to fly there.
Right.
They tried a little bit over here to see, but then it's like, no, I don't think I can do that here.
But I think that's a fun part of it too, because they get to see that and know. Sometimes it can create a little bit of conflict.
Yeah.
Because things may look a little different at where their normal residence is versus where they're visiting or whatever. So it kind of brings some of those things over. And I think that sometimes, at least for me, I know at times that can be, you want to be like, I don't care what you do over there. You're not doing it here. Right. But, reinforce. Yeah. Over here we do, and the why behind it.
Which is true.
Yeah.
Because I know it was a little difficult for us, because my son is more like, well, I can't do this, I'm gone. So it took me a while to catch on that. No, we're not doing X, Y, and Z. The next thing I know is daddy outside. Oh, you picking your son up? Okay. Oh, okay, cool. There never was that issue, right? And then I'm just like, did the bathroom not get cleaned up? I'm picking your son back up in about an hour. He needs to come do it again. So you have to learn the, the
Okay,
balance.
yeah,
You have to get in the balance because they
Yeah,
good,
they
different
good at
households.
it,
Oh, I'm
yes.
gone for the weekend, so I'm not doing that, and then you hear him tell his brother, like, looks like you're cleaning up on your own this week. No, you're not leaving until it's done. I want this done.
Oh goodness. So yeah, it's they do figure things out pretty quickly on how to
Absolutely.
play on both parents,
Mm-hmm.
and be the victim, and then also because even within this, I mean, it happens in our household, so it definitely happens when we have another household.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easier because in the household you two on one accord, but
Yes.
it's easy to switch with the other household.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
well, they said it. I don't care what they said. This is what I'm saying, and I'm not saying nothing else.
When you became a bonus mom, what were some of the things that kind of first came to mind for you?
It was a little scary because now we're going from 1 to 3, so it's like, okay, I gotta figure out how to. Everything is triple, right? So I got to make sure that not only cooking the smaller portions, but like, okay, are we cooked enough? Then it's like, okay, well, wait, what is it that they like or what they don't like? Am I saying this wrong or am I saying that right? Or even with my son, because he was the only child, right? On both ends. Oh God, is he going to feel how he's going to feel with sharing his mom? And so it was just those emotions and those feelings. And then it's like, okay, well, I keep wondering, let me talk to each kid. Let me figure out what it is or how I can, make this work for all of us. Because if I keep wondering, I'm getting my way. And then my son is the one that you give him just a little ounce, then he going to run with it. And then this is his narrative. Like, well, this happened because, so no, let's feel. And they had the easiest connection. It was like, oh, we're the same age. I finally got a brother, and it's like, oh that is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then the sister's more like, yeah, and I'll tell you guys what to do. So you better listen, and it's like, wait, I didn't sign up for that part. But so it's just making sure that I, have to remember 3 things. My son was into Spider-Man at the time. My bonus son like Batman. So now I had to do it a couple times, run back in the store, like, oh, let me find this. Because now I'm not coming home with 1, but I need to come home with 3 things,
Right.
So that was big.
Yeah. That was,
And do you find yourself parenting a little different to the personalities?
Yes.
You have to really be cognizant of that too, right?
Big time. And it was a learning. It took years actually because my husband is one approach. These are the rules for you, and you. It don't change. It doesn't matter. And it's like, well, no, we can't really parent them because they all need different things. Like these are the rules.
Yeah.
So then, beginning to work with it, like, well, no, because I learned if we do it this way, like you learn to take the softer approach, right? And I'm like, it's not the softer approach, is this what they need? So we did learn that we had to basically parent each other different, and they didn't need it. Some of them were self-starters. The other one may just needed the recognition. The other one was like, whatever, so we learned to try to customize each plan to each one. So
yeah, and then that makes them feel heard and really feel a part of the family, right?
Definitely.
But there's nothing wrong with dad having that stern discipline, because you need that too.
Yep.
Right. And then as mothers,
we like
that's where we come in to kind of massage everything. And make it work.
It. Work it on. So you work with it, then he like, okay, I can do this. Now what are we doing with this gentle stuff again?
With the gentle pen.
With the gentle stuff again.
Yeah. Let's revisit. And I laugh because our husbands have very similar approaches. And she and I have similar personalities as well. So on the surface level, you would think that we probably wouldn't be the softer side. Well, of them, we are the we are the softer side. Because you have to give that why and go. It is a rule for a reason. Normally, it's protection, safety, whatever it is. But giving that extra explanation or the touch to it makes it seem a little
sometimes
personal.
it's needed. It's definitely needed, and it's just you don't recognize it at that moment, but you can just see the change immediately. Let's have a moment. I'm not saying you can't. A rule is a rule. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to get this punishment for not following it, but let me explain to you why. And if that helps, then let's just do it. Absolutely.
So, how have you grown personally in having that blended family?
I grown a lot. I would say, even with our youngest baby now, it's more so. It's like I learned because one of the biggest issues early on, I'll say we had was my son with his father being so active. It was like I had that in my head. So we got to kind of tiptoe a little bit because he got a daddy. You're great, but he kind of got a daddy. So we got to watch this, we got to watch that, and it's just like, okay, well, this is our house. We have to do things this way because I don't want you feeling unfair or you not being unfair. And they always understood, my bonus kids always like, well, my daddy said this, so this is just it. And I'm just like, nah, we don't want that dynamic. So I learned that all right, what are we going to do? So we had to take time back. How are we going to raise them? What are going to be our explanation? What's going to be the rules? Which way we should go? And then I also had to learn that correction, right? We can't correct each other in front of them because now that's an issue.
Right.
So with my youngest baby, it's like, even though she's just 5, early on mental, when she comes, why did she come all the way upstairs? Did your daddy say no? Yeah. I'm going to tell him what just happened. Okay, I want to ask that question again. I'm really sorry, but so it's like you learn early on to not allow them to play you against them. So it really patience.
Yeah.
Patience. It gave you so much of that, because it's just like, where this kid is like this, and this one is like, nope, we need to sit down and do this. It took me 10 minutes. It took me 20 minutes. This one take 3 hours.
Yes.
What just happened differently here in this rotation, So patience was one of the biggest things. And then grace, just had to take that moment every now and then. If I need to sit outside in the car, like, let me just get myself together before I go in with whatever's happening. Learning just that time. That time was big.
That's huge, because I think that even with parenting, there's no manual.
No.
And then there's no manual on certainly of blending two families. Because like you said, even when getting married or coming together, you're bringing your perspective, they're bringing their perspective. Right. So that's one thing. And then it's like the kids. And then it's the kids' other parents that, that is like there. So it's so many people and so many different personalities that might have different thought processes coming together.
Right.
That sometimes the intent gets misconstrued.
Absolutely.
Like, you're not trying to overstep or do, but you're trying to make sure that they're okay.
Right.
And it's like, not to say that I don't think that, your parent is going to make sure you're okay. But in the moment, I'm just focusing on the kid. And I think that's what's kind of the biggest thing, is that when you keep the focus front, that the children are first. And as adults, we kind of have to figure it out. It works a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because then also the kids don't feel like,
cool.
Yeah, like,
which way should I go?
I kind of want to like this, but I don't know if I should like this. Like, should I smile? Should I not? Should I enjoy it? Should I not? Like, I don't know what should I do. So then they're like, what do we,
okay? I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah. And
then you pick up on that feeling from their parents or from whoever they're getting that. So then they're like kind of torn. So when they can see, like you said, whatever adult issues are put to the side, or at least not discussed in front of them, to let the kids be kids.
Absolutely.
And they have that full. Because my thing is, I didn't both of my parents are still together, so I never had a step parent.
Okay.
And until I met T, I actually never dated anybody with kids. I didn't date anybody with kids. Strange. But it was the way that I saw him father, and I knew that his responsibility, it was not something where it was pawned off on me.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, it was his thing, and I was part of it, but it wasn't a thing I had to take on.
Right.
Which worked perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is a big difference, because I never dated anyone with kids either. It was always like this rule, and then when I heard him, I'm like, wait, you have what? You have your kids how often? Oh, wow. So now as a mother, I'm like, oh, well, my son really, he really chooses. It was the first grandson, far as with, my mom. And so it's like, well, it's so many people that pulls him every which way. I'm kind of free. And he's like, well, I hope this wouldn't be a problem pretty much. This is just it. This is my life. He's that person that, oh, you want to go out? No, I got my kids. But if we can do bowling or something, we can do something family-wise. And like you said, show how you love on your children. I'll say that was the easiest transition, because they already had the respect, the love. It was there. My son was a little more challenging, right? Because it was like, oh, well, can nobody take my daddy's place? And then we had to explain, no, I'm not taking your daddy's place.
Right.
We definitely don't want to take his place. I'm just here when you're here. I need to be able to, call on. So it took him a while to grasp, but you just eventually just keep working, not pushing, but working and letting them see, and then they, eventually pick up on it. Yeah,
they do. And I think too, it's a plus, because I really do feel like as they have a different adults in their life, it's a bonus that you have. And as adults, it's our responsibility to pour into them as our children, as well as that they have another figure to look into. So it's like a fun place to be. I know I used to laugh because Kennedy, of course, would be like, wait a minute, so you get Christmas here and you got gifts at another house? She was like, we only get gifts here. Like, I'm like, come on now. She was like, wait, what is going on here? She's like,
wait a minute, you get double gifts?
She was like, oh, okay. So, I love the dynamic with your kids. because that's one of the things that we push. That we're not going to be here forever, so I want to make sure they have those relationships
Yeah,
together,
Build
and
your
they look out for each
relationships.
other. There's no, oh,
Yes.
that's my step or that's my whatever.
Yep.
That's your sister, that's your brother, and you look out for them as such. And we hold them responsible for that. Like if you were like, so you saw them doing that, you didn't say anything. Like you thought that was okay.
That was okay. So that was funny. That was cute.
No.
Yeah. My bonus daughter is the one who stopped my son, and she like, look, and when your friends come or when something's happening or you're on the phone, you always like my step this or my step that, or we either gonna be a brother and sister or you just stay over there. And he's like, all right, sister. She was like, that's better. Now let's keep it that way. And ever since then, it was just like,
come on, sis.
it was just done, And then now it's funny because we listen to stories and like, yeah, because when you guys just run to the store, mother over here used to make us do this, and this. Like, well, you guys didn't pay attention for doing your homework, and I got tired of saying the same thing. So what I do, I cut the games off. Oh, this was happening. Okay, it worked. Did you do your homework? I did because as long as you did, so it do, and that was really huge for me because I didn't naturally want any more children. So with them, and I'm just like, oh, now you have siblings. Now you got someone.
Right.
And then only to mention they're the same age. My oldest, he's the 9th, he is in October. My son's is in January. So same grade. So everything was double. So it was a double issue, financial. But overall, it was great because now it's like, oh, when they go out, oh, we're good. They're together. So you didn't have too much to worry about. Whereas though with my oldest daughter, it was like, where you going again?
Yeah.
What you doing?
Who's taking y'all? So I always became the parent, like, nah, well, you taking us because you said I can't ride in the car. But you're absolutely right. So what plans? So she learned early on, I'm gonna get my plans out early so we can get on the calendar so I'll be able to go. Whereas though the boys, I just download the Life 360 app and they gone.
Oh,
be about this. With the street lights, that's it. That's all. We good.
Cause y'all got these calendars and apps and stuff. I'm just old school. Wait a minute now. Come on, I love it.
Every time I say calendar, she be like,
I'll
"What?"
be like,
Because I say, "Monique, we're gonna do this." I'm like, "I just sent you a calendar invite." She be like, "Oh my god!"
I'm like, my calendar all full. I'm like, I don't know. I got something there. I don't know. Girl, what is going? I love it. I'm learning.
It makes everything so much easier.
Oh, it does. Everybody is like going, and I always laugh because I'm like, "Did you?" Because they'll be like, Mom, I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this, but it just came up. So is it possible? Is anybody able to take me or can I go? I'm like, we'll see. Right. I'm like, between all this stuff, like I can't, because it's just, it makes things more frustrating because I can't drop everything to get to it. But I also want you to be able to do things. Definitely. But we gotta have some order.
Gotta have order. And if you don't have order, it's not my fault. No point in sitting around angry or mad because what happened? So we have to get down to the root cause. You didn't go. Why? Because you didn't take me. No. You didn't go because you didn't ask me in accord or you didn't slide it to the calendar. It's a reminder. It's a request. You didn't do that. Right. Well, I kind of forgot. Okay, I'm sorry you were busy at school while I was working, cleaning, and washing errands, and making doctor's appointments. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So
like you just didn't get a chance.
You just didn't get it, So now it's like,
get around to it. Wow. But that's great too because that teaches responsibility.
Absolutely.
Right? And being a part of a family and then being respectful of each other's time.
Definitely.
Mom and dad too.
Yeah, definitely. Because you actually need it.
You do.
And especially that we were able to get everyone at one doctor. So, the boys, it was easy. When the time starts, they going in together, and they'll see like, don't send me to the doctor with them. You know how hard this was? He like, they laughed nonstop. He like, everything was funny, So some things just was able to work where we one-stop shop for everybody, So, and you have to, especially when it's multiple. We got to get everyone registered. We got to get everybody prepared to go all around the world. We like, no. He's like, no, we're not doing that. One doctor, one dentist, everything's family work.
And with them being, the same age, because mine are only 13 months apart. So the same thing, they'll be like, the expectation of, oh, they did this, they saw this. So like you said, what's happening. So it's like, okay, so repeat of just what happened. So they can kind of go through and share. So they do learn from that. And similar with them being close in age, I'll be like, where are you going? And he'll be like, who are you going with? Like, when did you start hanging out with them? And who is that? So it's funny, the questions that I don't have to ask because the older siblings are kind of like, wait, what now? And you want, I don't think that's going to be a good idea.
I don't think that's going to work out.
So some of the stuff just naturally fizzles out before it even gets to us because they know, they're like, that's not going to work. That's not going to fly.
That is too funny because that's how it is in the family group chat, know? So so in the family group chat because that's where we have it, There are certain things, if you require privacy, then that's the sidebar with the three of us, you're not sad bad, you're not, because we learned that early on too. They'll navigate. My son is going to reach out to me. my bonus son, well, no, take that back. My bonus daughter, whoever she see was getting the question asked. She
She don't care.
she didn't care. Starting the boys, starting off it was equal. Whoever she sees, she didn't care. The boys, my son went to me, my bonus son went to dad. So when we noticed they like, no, stop doing that. You gotta ask one parent. So then they like, well, we always get yes out of her. So then my phone will start blowing up. And I'm like, is your dad? Is he not there? What is going on? You know, so when I get home, we discuss it. So then we have to get more clear. Okay, straight. Whoever home, that's the question you ask, and only one person that you see first. If you walk in the front room, that's the parent you're gonna ask. And if you ask this parent, yes, they don't ask this parent that tomorrow because that parent, we had to, you know, and I'm like, oh, we had to get really strategic with these things. And my daughter be like, told you guys not to do that.
Yeah, because you move so fast on a day-to-day basis. You'll be like, oh, you know, such and such was at the movies. You're like, I told them they could go. Like, really? Like, I didn't even know that. So it'll come out in conversation after it's happened, or like after someone's given the approval to do something. You'll be like, wait a minute now, just play me. Like, so you are absolutely
put in the group
correct.
chat. Matter of fact, now we'll make sure we can see this. Yeah.
So we got to do that. So do you have any advice you would give somebody that's maybe either beginning to go into a blended family, or maybe is in the thick of it, trying to figure out like, why am I here? What is happening?
I will definitely say patience first, right? Patience, communication, clarity, because you have to, if you're not on one accord with each other, how you're parenting or your parenting styles, it's going to just be disastrous. It's going to go all over. So I'll say clarity is the biggest part, and just love. Just make sure you're loving everyone equally, right? It's not that hard. You can have one of your friends, your kids' friends come over, and you can love them. It's the same when you're taking over. It's a little deeper, you know, so they feel that. They can feel if they're unwanted, if there's something that's missing. So make sure you just spreading the love and have clarity. Have those talks. Sometimes we used to schedule Wednesdays. Me and my husband, Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Everybody, kids knew, people knew not to call us. We had to have a meeting every week for a while so we can understand, let's talk about the week, whether that was the children, whether that was finances, whatever it needed to happen or who needed to do more or what, we had to have that conversation. And that's what helps us throughout the rest of the week, going into the next week of what needed, you know, so clarity and communication is big.
That is so true. And I think it's easier when you have that clarity and communication, you understand where the other person's coming from, and you can stand on a solid ground together. Because I think that is a huge thing that and it's funny because I heard someone saying they were talking about, you know, you marry somebody, like, and you're like, it's all about the kids. It's all about the kids. Like, these kids leaving, right? And then you're gonna be like, who are you?
Right.
Like, I don't even know who you are. Like, you know. So it's like that they understand that you, like you said, it's a united front. Like, you're not gonna come to me or go to him and do that. And also too for the bonus kids. With their parents, you're not going to talk to, like, for us, if it's something that they're changing something or talking to you about something, then it's like, okay, let me talk it over with my wife. It's not something where it's going to be like, okay, you're trying to corner and make a decision. I have no problem with speaking with them and going through everything as well, but it's the united front and everybody's on the same page. So that clarity and communication is so, so important. And it's not always fun. It's not always easy, but that foundation makes the process and the journey so much smoother.
Trial and error. It's definitely trial and error.
Oh, yeah.
You test it anywhere. You may implement a change. It may work. It may just do away with it, but it's definitely trial and error with it. And like you said, you have to have that united front. Like, you don't get to, you know, do X, Y, and Z. You know, it's, well, I'm gonna run this over my husband real quick and I'll get back to you. You know, just that. Well, these are children. They are children. However,
it impacts everybody.
Right.
This is how it goes.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And I like what you said too, that it's a journey. You've had to do some things, then not do some things, undo them. But it's all a journey and it takes time.
Yes, it does.
It takes time.
Often the time, we want fast results.
We do. And that's the society
put this
that
here. You need this to go right now.
It
don't happen that way. Everyone needs that time to change. And you have to be okay knowing that you may have to go back over this several times. Sometimes you may need someone else to get involved. You may have to get, you know, counseling, or even if it's just for yourself, because now you need an outpour. Sometimes you have to go the extra mile in order for it to all work, to all come together. In order to do that, patience, clarity, communication.
So what are some things you do for self-care?
I'm big on, it's like the salt cave. I love their salt room. You go in there for it's
the
just
Himalayan salt.
It's like this room. It's just a lot of salt. do it have pink in it?
Yeah.
It may have the lights
Like
come
come
on.
on.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
lights come on
yeah,
pink, and then the
yeah.
floor have a lot of stuff. But you just go in there. So sometimes I go for a massage, but most of the time I start going weekly. But you just go in there. It's quiet. They tell you sit there. It's just I done fell asleep. You
And
just peace.
When you breathe in, it's just like it's so
Oh,
cool.
my God.
Because I have really bad allergies, so when I go in there, I'm like,
Yeah.
Ooh. And
like
then I have
feel
high
like
blood
I'm
pressure. And I'm in there dealing with
okay.
salt. But
Oh.
but at this moment,
Moment.
that pressure don't matter, Lord.
Yeah.
I know you got me, Lord, because this is, it's peaceful.
Yeah.
Wow.
I learned that even getting back to old things I love, skating. That's something just not having fun. Yes.
Oh yeah, these
Skating.
knees don't work together. I love it. I go watch it.
Y'all said they got a little music. Come on,
Oh
watch
no,
us.
yeah,
Get a
I
little,
go
little
take a
music
tail
on.
feather
Yeah,
now.
see?
I will go, but
See how
the
that
knees
we
don't
worked it
do
already out, right?
Yeah,
I see. So even that, reading, I know most people like shopping. No, shopping, it's not it for me because you can do it any other time, but you just need things that really customize yourself.
Right.
And that it's like the best thing. You just be in a life for those minutes, everything disappear. At first, when I go and I used to think about it, I'm like, reflect, close. This is my time.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
because
different.
we did a show about self-care, and it's not just for us, right? It's for the family too, because they don't want you popping off, right? So I need to. I need to.
My oldest son, he always say like. He said you can walk in and feel the air if I was on surgery. You get text message like, anything, you okay? You need anything? What's wrong with you? Oh, nothing. And I'm like, not because we, have to learn certain things. I'm like, no, tell me the truth. What's wrong? Are you okay today? I'm good. Did I say something? Like, no, but the air feel a little cold. And I'm like, yeah, it was a rough day, but you're good. No worries. And at that moment, it's like he feel it. Okay, let me go out for a second. I'll just, take a walk or something so I can get back, and then I'll go downstairs, lay in a bed, and play the game with them or something like that, or whatever it took, because that's what I learned too. They're into games. Okay, we're gonna play. I'm not gonna play y'all games. We're gonna go all the way back old school. What is that one? When they're like, get over here. You know that game? What's the name of that? Sub-Zero now?
Oh, the thing. Wait, what system is that?
Oh,
I know.
I forgot the name of it, but it had Sub-Zero, Xena. They do the fighting and back and forth.
Not the Battleship. Not Battleship.
But we do play Battleship too.
Okay,
I got that.
That's
look, but we got that. Again, we got to meet each other that way. So you got to go back to my world. And I like Battleship. Yeah. Absolutely. That was me and my daddy. Oh, may he rest in peace. That's who actually taught me with Battleship. So I had to bring them to that world too. But play their game. So whatever it took, just so they'll feel assured. Like, we don't have to worry about the outreach or the overpour. We're good. So
Nothing too, just knowing that you're in their corner.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, okay, when you are seeking, like you said, to understand, like, okay, and you're explaining things to them, they're like, okay, it doesn't feel like I have to have my guards up at all the times, and I'm really trying to understand you, meeting them where they are, playing the games, whatever that is. It's just it's almost like you're forming not necessarily a friendship, but a relationship, so you understand that person.
Because it's building trust.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's building trust. And I mean, and that's what you have to do with children.
You got to create it.
And we may have grown up a little bit different with parents who really like, this is the way it is. Don't ask me no questions. Seen and not heard. I grew up with all of that. But now, they're people. They're little people. Yeah. And so they have feelings, and their opinion matters too. And so that's what you try to truly create.
It really does. And it's funny you say that, because even when you go out, I remember when we first purchased our home, and it was during COVID. So we were out, we were certain things, everything limited. So we're the goal was to have everybody room done, want everybody comfortable. So we were out purchasing mattresses, and we again, it's 3 of them. So three. So we already had the furniture. We just need a new mattress. So we're there, and we're like, okay, I'm trying to fill it. So the lady that worked there was like, well, these are a little more cheaper. You have to get 3 sets. You should get these. And I said, oh my God, my booty even hurts. Sitting on this like a rock, right? She's like, well, they're just kids. I said, so they supposed to wake up in pain?
It's like, now I'm having chiropractic bills.
So I need a chiropractic bill. I said, no, that's not how it works. If I'm comfortable with it, then they'll be comfortable. And that's not it. She's like, well, that's going to be costly. I didn't ask you to count my dollars.
Right.
I just asked you if you had these in stock.
Right. But that shows you the value
it does.
that people don't give children.
And that's what I was going to say. They don't give them a voice. They don't give them option. You're upstairs snoring. You're on the clouds, and these kids laying on rocks, and you okay? Like, no.
My hip hurts.
Right.
At 10.
No, they're gonna. They're gonna be comfortable as well. We're in home. We're confined. Whatever it is. So when you said that, I always think back to like, you work at a store. Shouldn't you be trying to get a sale, lady?
Right.
But, okay. You don't judge, but I hear you.
So what is something that you would say, or is there a moment or something that you think that you learned from the dynamics of your blended family?
I'll just say honestly, just once like you get to that moment where you just like, oh, we got it.
Mhm.
We got this. We've made it. Like this is one. That's something different.
Mhm.
That's a different feeling.
It is.
It's just like, okay,
Mhm.
God, thank you. And I think that's what for me, I'll say was the biggest point. Finally get to that moment of understanding, like, okay, we got this. We're one, everyone moving, everyone comfortable. It's like we really did this, you know.
Mhm.
So
And being on one accord.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you said you have a 21-year-old daughter,
I'm
right?
21.
So are you
Last year.
are that relationship changing a little bit? Are you moving more towards we talked about this, a consulting mom versus, you should do this and this. Are you doing less of discipline and more of guidance?
Yeah, I'll say that. It definitely is way less of discipline, a little bit more guidance, and a little bit more of sternness. Because it's like, don't find out, say I'm 21 or anything like that. It's just like, I hear you. No, I don't want you to hear me. I want you to understand because it really was an option.
Right.
So, that's when she hit me with the I hear you. It's like, okay, so I think you're not going to answer. No, we're not. Because now we're having to go. She graduates next year. So what are our plans? What are we doing? Right? It's fine. You can always come back home, but what we're doing when we get home, which way we're going. I've been thinking, okay, let's think. And we're going to work a little different. And we're actually going to have dinner next weekend when you come here. Oh, I wasn't coming. I know, but it's on your calendar, so you are coming. So with that said, just trying to make sure that we get you there. We always talk about certain things that's important. Credit. We can't move this around. We can't do this. You just have to have it in order to be, successful. And I always tell her, idle mind. Where is that going to get you? You idle mind, and why? What happened today? Well, I did look at did you check your screen time? I did. It was bad, wasn't it? Right? You know what you could have been doing at that time? So that's always my approach with her because also she's a woman. So, sometimes it's a little harder for us. So it's like, I need you to use your weapons. I need you to also know the things that was instilled and the things you have, the tools you have. So,
and 21 is a unique age, right? Because you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm really grown,
right?
And so, but that's why I said, you move more into the guidance. I'm saying I'm acknowledging you grown, right? But I want you to know I'm still here.
I want you to understand.
That's right.
This still happens. Like we always had this conversation. We're not, no one's stalking anyone, but it doesn't hurt that you're still in this group.
That's right,
and you're still on a phone plan. So. See those the combinations?
How that works.
Right. Yeah.
These are the options here. We're not looking for you. It's safety more so. Your way of school, we need to know,
right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's a crazy world right now. Things happen so quickly.
All the time.
And then, and I like to tell people too, or tell the kids, it's not necessarily you I'm concerned with. I'm concerned about you, but I'm also concerned about the other people around
you
who I know nothing about.
Absolutely.
Especially, like you said, away at school. And you just see so many people that are just preying on each other, pretending to be friends and wanting to harm people because of the jealous spirits.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you don't have that. You pray that they have that discernment to have people around them or not have them around them. But then I think some people are pretty good at masking things.
They are.
So you do need to be someone involved so you can know, hey, you were supposed to be here. I haven't seen you. Like, you haven't checked in. Like, what's going on? Because last thing you want to be like, oh, I talked to him last week and everything was fine.
Right.
What
you mean last week? You ain't talked to him.
And it happens. My daughter was telling me I want her friends in the hospital. I think her mom didn't know for like 2 days. She's like, that can be possible. I told them, you will beat us to the hospital. Absolutely. Because once it would have said, seemed like a crash. Like, wait a minute, what's happening?
Yeah.
I'm on my way. You have to. They're young adults, but you still need to check in.
Yeah.
They're not really tapped into that out life yet, where you're on your own. You're in college. I need to make sure whatever's happening, them dark roads or whatever the case may happen, you're doing what's need to, be done. So.
And I think they may not admit it, but they grow to appreciate you because they see how other parents, like you said, her mama didn't know she was in hospital for 2 days.
Right.
She know you'd have been
like,
what? Right.
Nah.
So they get to see and appreciate you more too.
They
even though they may not ever
say
admit
it. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think especially college, they were like, "Wait, what did you?" What?
Right.
Like that would never like y'all got to happen,
right? Like because she got sick one time and she called like, "Oh, what's urgent? You went to urgent care? Hey, yourself?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm listening." In my inside, I'm burning like, "Oh my gosh, she went to urgent care. What these people told her?" So she's like, "They didn't do anything. There's somebody need rest. You need rest. All right, I got you. An hour. Come on down. We're gonna go to this doctor here because it's a weekend." she sounded so bad. She had a temperature pulled up in an hour. She like, I just knew you was coming. I know you did. Come on, girl, we home. She wound up staying, took her to her doctor. They actually gave her the antibiotics she needed. Viral infection. They tell you to get rest. You need rest, but you also need something to treat it. Yeah. So she there, and then she stayed home an extra day where she was doing everything online. I took her back and then, much better. She just sent the little heart symbol. No, sometimes it's still your child. They need that.
And you gotta advocate for them.
You got to.
Yeah, because that's how they learn how to advocate for themselves.
Right.
Because they'll be like, there'll be instances, because at the school, similar, I will be a staple. They'll be like, I just told Monique the other day, I said, she was like, I know these people be so glad when Kenny graduated. They don't have to see you coming to school no more. I'm like, wait, explain to me how this happened and what was going on. I'm like, yeah, because you have to, because they need to know that someone's in their corner. And I tell them, if it doesn't sound right, you don't have to say okay. Like, you know what? I need to talk to my mom and daddy. Like, I don't know. Let's say tell them to call us, whatever. Yeah. Because they have to learn that not everybody has their best interest at heart.
Even in the school.
So even when you're talking, sometimes the information you're giving or saying, they're, instead of really trying to find what's happening, they're trying to use it against you.
Exactly. Right.
So if you're not sure, just don't say nothing. Tell them to call your parents. Yes.
I always tell my kids that you don't sign anything. That when they have the rights, that don't you write or sign nothing. I can't do that to my parent get here.
Yes.
I cannot. Then they're like, they're even real fast. And then I know one instance, my bonus son, he had an issue and. Like, but I really didn't do it. Now he's a kid. You know how they say you know your kid? No, he was a kid. If he say he didn't do it. Like that was the one you just knew. There wasn't no sneakiness, there wasn't on the line. That didn't happen, So when I get there and I'm gonna see the story, and I'm like, but so why are we here? And she's like, well, the kids, did you see it? No, but the other part, but did you see it?
Right.
Well, you didn't see it. He said he didn't see it. And the other person just said he did it. So with that being said, how are we resolving this? Because we're not accepting the consequences,
Right.
Okay, well, we're going to just let you go back to class. But no, we're not going to send in the meantime. We and you'll talk in the meantime. That's it for him. You're not going to disrupt the rest of his day,
Right.
He'll tell you in a minute. That email will come per my email. Per our conversation, so that's one thing I always taught them. Like, if it's not right, you don't have to just go because you fear what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Let me deal with that part.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they do have to learn that early on. And I think that builds a confidence.
It
builds a confidence and understanding of how things can happen quickly. Because there's been other instances where you see things. And I always tell you, a quick decision could have long-term effects.
Exactly.
So
long-term. Don't, well, it happened, it didn't happen. It's like the process.
Yeah. As they say, trouble's easy to get into and hard to get out of.
But when you build confidence in your children, that is what people fear the most.
You're right.
Oh, yeah.
Because then they know, I ain't got to listen to you.
You're right. That's true.
So that is one of the best things we could all do for our children.
Definitely.
Is build their self-confidence.
Listen, hear them.
And that's a part of respecting children. Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, it's not how much money they're going to make, what's their job title going to be. It's going to be that we want a good person, like a person that's contributing and that is kind to people. Because you know what I mean? It's like, I want you to be a good person.
Right. And can take care of yourself.
Oh, definitely.
Independent.
Yeah.
I'm with you when you're right. Definitely take care of yourself.
Definitely take care of yourself. Be
Don't worry about me. Just take care of you.
Be responsible.
And that's another thing. Like, some kids have to take that burden of making sure everybody's okay.
You're right.
Let the kids be a kid. And what we talked about when, whatever's an adult situation is an adult situation. I remember Kennedy was talking about something. She was like, oh my God, like, how much is our light bill? And I said, wow. Like, she was like, because I was talking to this girl at school and she was saying that, she has to get their check because their lights are going to be off. And I said, what? And I was like, who is it? What are you talking about? Right. She was like, I mean, I said, have your lights ever been off? No. Like, and then you don't need to know how much the light bill is. Like, I'm gonna tell you to turn off the light because I'm paying the bill.
And that's it.
And that's the expense that you need to know. I need you to be responsible.
I walk in every room, turn the lights on, leave them on. But that's all you got.
That's it. But let them be kids. Because it only happens once and they don't need to be burdened. And being a kid nowadays is not easy.
It's not. And you know what? You usually can say, like, what do you got? But no, you're absolutely right. You're right. And that's why when we had our daughter, the one that's 5, and we're like, I don't know, you got a lot of babysitters. Who are they?
Oh, right.
Oh, the three who? That's not their baby. They can't. Neither one can ever say they ever was forced. It was always if like I said, we had it during COVID time. But as the years went on, it's like if we ran to the store, it was always, can you? Do you mind?
Right.
Were you? And it wasn't, well, I don't feel like it, and now you're angry. No, you have that right. I never felt that way because they were like, well, you got to get paid for them too. Well, they didn't ask to be here. That's not fair.
That's not fair.
So that was another thing that I also wanted to make sure we push, like we don't force.
Right.
They don't got to cancel their plans to watch our baby,
Right.
It don't happen that
That
way.
doesn't happen.
Yeah, now with my oldest daughter, sometimes like, hey, you think you come on this weekend to keep your sister? It's like, oh, okay. But on a flip end, we got some type of incentive to us. You came home, here's still some money or just whatever it is, just for giving us a little time.
But it's a family working out.
It's a family working, but not when they were
working
younger.
out.
Like, oh,
No,
you
yeah,
gotta
no. Right.
enjoy it,
Right.
So
That's a great
I think
point.
that was really big too. 'Cause I see that so much, and it's like, no, well, they got to. I don't have to act. Wait, they got to? Wow.
Yeah.
That's some old school
lot.
thinking.
And that
That's what I'm
that
saying.
breeds resentment.
It does.
It
It
breeds
does.
resentment
A lot
towards
of it.
whoever they're a sibling that they have to, give up stuff to watch. And towards them, like this, like you said, I asked for this. Like, why am I now having to do this? Like, no.
Like, what happened?
Yeah. That's a great point. Anything that you want to share about the path of being a blended family?
No, outside of it definitely turned into the opposite of what I imagined it to be. Definitely love it. Like I said, I really feel like we're at that point where it's just like, we got this. We made it. Can't tell me, that they not mad. Just can't tell me that they not. It's like, this is us. Like, we still have certain things like to do. When you come back for the summer, we still got this family day. We're gonna go do some, whatever it is. Still like keep that connection. I just always want them to take that with them, like the love.
Yes.
We love you guys. We love all y'all. No matter what, anything happens, we love y'all. Everything's gonna be in the best interest of everyone. Nobody bigger, nobody smaller. We just us. Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for spending
Of
time
course,
with us
of course,
today.
of course.
You all can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and of course on YouTube. It's Grace Over Grit and Growth. We love seeing your comments, so thank you all for that. We do need you to subscribe.
Push the subscribe button.
Everyone's like, I listened to this episode.
I love y'all
love
calling
it.
me, but I need you to subscribe. Okay.
Yes, please. And of course, if you have any questions for any of our guests or any topics that we have on, you can shoot us an email. That will be in the bio. And then you can also comment. We'll respond to those as well.
Absolutely.
So until next time, we will see you.
Take care. Bye-bye.